Hi everyone, Southside here. I haven't been streaming the YouTube BPL lives, but now the public shows have reached around the midway point of the tourney, and I would say it has somewhat gone as I expected. Teams that I expected to perform very well have done so, with my favorites to take over the group stage such as Leisureland and Apina Frames and Game Panic making up the top three spots, and teams with some visible issues such as Trads and Silkhat are currently making up lower positions in the standings. I'm going to be going through all of these teams one by one with what I feel will be happening in the subsequent matches, completely spoiler and hindsight free. On top of the ladder currently is Team Game Panic. As the tourney started with all the final matches being in the level 11 range, they would go with their usual strategy of securing all their wins early with the power of both Peace and Mikamo, and it has paid off handsomely. Despite having very close matches where they could have lost points and the win, both of them managed to sweep the final matches and easily took 3 wins for now, with Peace still maintaining his undefeated streak and Mikamo managing to sweep Licht in the match against Silkhat. Takasu and Fripp unfortunately dropped all their matches so far, and while it matters somewhat less for Fripp, Takasu will have to step up as he will be representing the level 12s for the remainder of the matches, and he will be up against some very strong competition. With the 3 wins in the bag, they have effectively clinched the postseason unless they drop pretty much every match after this, which I feel is very, very unlikely. In second place, we currently have a tie between Team Apina Vrames and Leisureland. The two super teams of this season are actually not in first place because they faced off against each other in the first match and they tied. Despite the tie, they have won their matches as expected, with Leisureland coming pretty close to another tie with round 1 in their second match. Their rosters were able to take on all of their opponents, with both teams currently not dropping an entire match so far. For Apina Vrames, they have mostly stuck to a similar strategy as they did last season, only with Naga-chan taking Kentan's place. Uchi has also taken an alternative role from what was expected from him, focusing on the level 11 matches. With Willow being at the helm for Apina's level 12 matches, you would think that there is a lot of pressure for him to perform against the other hard hitters, but because they put Uchi in the level 11 matches for their next matchups, this all should end in Apina's favor. It's very, very likely that they could take over and end up as a top seed once more. Similar things could be said with Leisureland, who by consensus also currently have a complete top to bottom team. While they have arguably faced more difficult opponents in their 2 other matches, strong performances from their new ace Dawn have pushed them to victory, being the only member in the team to have full sweep victories so far. With them putting Dawn in the level 11 matches being successful, the pressure is now on Dinosaur and G to carry the level 12 match load, as they're the members slated to play on the next 2 matches, which could be scary considering their competition. For the upcoming matches, they really should aim to sweep or gain considerable advantage before the final match, as being swept in those aforementioned final matches is very, very possible. I don't really foresee Leisureland securing the top seed, but it's not out of the question just yet. On 4th place and last to contend currently, Team Round 1. Despite me thinking that this is the strongest version of the team and having a crazy start against Gigo winning 18-3, they have struggled since then, falling to both Leisureland and Apina and tying with Silkhat on their most recent match, which actually puts them in danger of falling out of qualification. The team has gone for a much more different strategy of dividing the load of the hard matches between Leo, Ipin, and Yutaka, as they now on paper have players who can handle the harder matches compared to previous seasons. Unfortunately for the 4 matches that they went through, they've either been hit with inconsistent performances, especially on Ipin, and general bad matchups, such as Yutaka facing a considerably weaker opponent in Loot, where his cause could have been saved by another player, and Leo facing Uchi, who didn't stand a chance at all, unfortunately. Their recent draw with Silkhat, as mentioned, is very, very unfavorable for them, as they now will have to face mounting pressure to win at least 1 more match against either Game Panic or Trads. While they currently have the most favorable outcome out of the bottom 4, they are in a position where they cannot afford to lose. All eyes will be on them in their match against Trads, where the winner will be likely to be the one staying in 4th place. To follow that up, 5th on the ladder currently is Taido Station Trads. The team with the best 2DX player in the world currently is continuing to face struggles this season, mired by the inconsistent play of the supporting cast. Despite KKM being undefeated in all the matches he has played so far, his team of Kure, Hachishaku, and Kentan couldn't really follow up, putting them on the side of potential elimination just like in Season 2. The team has faced a pre-KKM sweep twice so far, and they will need a win for this to change. On paper, the team is much more proven than all the previous Trads BPL teams, but a mix of bad matchups and a general drop in consistency for all the players, especially in Kure and Hachishaku, unfortunately places them low in the predicted success, and it seems to be currently true. Their season is still not over, as they have a match against round 1 where they could potentially take over the last remaining playoff spot, but their last match is against Leisureland, and it does not look like KK will be playing in that match. It is looking somewhat grim for them, but a victory in their next match against round 1 will put them in the hot seat where they can also protect their considerable point advantage. I would say that BPL is far from over for the Party Rockers. And in 6th, we have Gigo. Despite the increased firepower in drafting perennial players Nikke and Shiro, the team has found themselves back in an unfavorable position. They managed to take a win against Taito Station Trads, but found themselves overwhelmed by the consensus stronger teams. Their strategy of winning early matches and putting Shiro as their final match anchor has not succeeded due to poor performances in said early matches, and Shiro just facing people still way above his class, I would say. They're not out of the race just yet, but the next 2 matches that they have is against Apina and Leisureland, and these 2 matches will be very crucial. As they have the lowest amount of points out of all the teams, they are under greater pressure to win as many full matches as they can, lest they tie another team's win-loss record and lose to them in points obtained. With Loot having to face both Uchi and Nujio in the upcoming matches, they might have to really bank on Shiro taking as much as he could for the matches against Willow and G, who are 2 very difficult opponents for him. Gigo's poor start to the season is really coming back to bite them. I personally don't foresee them being able to make it unless they can really turn the tables and beat one of either Apina or Leisureland, which would be an achievement in its own right. I would say they have probably the lowest chance right now to make it through the 4th. And currently in last place is Team Silk Hat. After a run last season which saw them reaching the postseason for the first time, they kept their entire team, but did not receive the same results as last time. A strategy that divided most of the main load to Licht and Seiryu did not bear much fruit, as they were pretty much outmaneuvered in every match, with Licht unable to return to the form that he had before. Kito also couldn't really muster up wins as he did in Season 3, and he unfortunately kind of regressed slightly to his Season 2 win rate. Unlike the other teams, I feel that Silk Hat are pretty much done. The remaining matches are against Apina and Gigo, and despite it being in categories that are favorable to them in the final match, with Velvet playing scratch songs and Seiryu playing note songs, there are some weak spot matches that they can completely lose in, which would be quite fatal if Silk Hat couldn't really sweep any matches. The only way they can even contend for 4th is if they win both matches and no other team in the bottom 4 win above 2 matches, which I think is the least likely outcome. I would say that the only thing that Silk Hat can likely do in this juncture is to just disrupt Apina's seeding in the playoffs or just Gigo's entire chances of advancing. It's quite sad to see a team basically out so early, especially since I was really hoping that they could still maintain their form. But in the event that they could come back, I would be very excited to see so. And that's the roundup so far. We're a month away from the finals and Pinky Crush, and I believe only 4th place is currently up for grabs. It's currently a toss-up between Taito Station Trads and Round 1 in my opinion, with Gigo having a small chance to take it away. Silk Hat will act as the disruptor for this race, barring a miracle chance that they can take the 4th place spot. That's gonna be it for the mid-season evals. Sorry for the stilted dialogue, this is me trying to record all the things that I wrote down, so it may seem very robotic compared to how I usually speak, but I appreciate people watching this anyways. If you have any questions or thoughts, please leave them in the comments below. This has been Southside, wishing you a good day ahead.